All right. So in terms of what we've got to date, we've got this shop. I can then say, okay, yeah, 4 or 3, whatever, add, and it's spitting out the price because it is grabbing this, it's running this function when we click, because this function adding has been added to every button, and then it's basically putting a dollar sign and then just going to the items num, which is this here, there, it's grabbing that. Now, what we want to do is we want to, when we add, we actually want to add it to a cart. So first of all, let's just chuck in H1, let's call this cart items. And then I'm going to go to this H2, give it an ID called item count, and we'll set it as 0. Right, let's see what that looks like when we chuck that in there. Right, I can chuck these two things next to each other if you want. Very quickly, H1 display block, H2 color red. Right, H2 also display block. Should sit next to each other roughly. There you go. Okay. Fine. Margin. Top bottom 0 pixels, left right. We'll just say 20 pixels. And I'm then just gonna put a little there so it seems a little bit more. Whatever. Yeah. Okay. So this is our cart. The idea is that essentially, oh look, that's been changed, so that's fine. All right. We want to add, and we want this number to add and go. Yeah. So how do we start doing that? Well, it's all good and well that we just we're grabbing the number from here. So yeah, this we need to grab the number out of this element here, right? And currently elements ul li input. I don't have a way to grab that input. That's your first problem. We need to have an ID that's individual for each input. So that's what we need to do. So that way we can say grab element by ID. Okay, then fine. So in order to do that, we need to say type box dot data set dot cart index equals I. Let's just do this. Got a count plus I, see if that works. Right. Alright, so I had stuffed this up. So it should be data set. It should be set attribute. And we want to say the attribute is an ID. And this is an input. And the ID is going to be I. Okay. I can also go type box, no, not there, type box dot value equals 1. Right, let's just give this a quick refresh now. So they've all got that 1 in there, that's that default type. You can put functions for if you have buttons for change the values up and down to stop it from going like negatives, but another day. Right, the other thing is we can say, yep, it's got an ID of input. Ah. No, I don't want that. Let's have a look. Type of ID of input. Right, so, right, small mistake, that should be input plus I. So it's going to be like, it's going to be called input, and then we're going to add, obviously, whatever loop this is on through here. Okay. Next thing we need to get to is, okay, we need another array. So we got a var for items. Var card items. Empty array. So what we want to do is essentially just want to be able to push in this, if we chose the first product, into here. When we say add, when we effectively click this button here, add, then we'll get on to working on this. Right, so add. So we want to go cart items dot push. What are we pushing in? We're pushing in a separate array, contained array, and that's going to be the items, and that's going to be whatever this is, the num. Right. Let's just test this stage first. Alright, so let's refresh this. Doesn't really matter. Let's add here. Let's go Control Shift I. In the console, we're going to say cart items, and it has an array. And the array, if we look into it, is image 1, 29.99, product 1, which was that one there. Right, so if I go down here to say product 3, and then say add one of that, let's try cart items. There's two things in the array. So the second one, there is image 3, product 3, 19.99. That's exactly what we've got set up here. So that's pushing it. That's great. The next thing we need to do is basically just on the end of this array is add how many we put here. There. Then we can start grabbing that number and shoving it in there. So what we need to do then is we need to get to the cart items, right? So we say cart items. Square bracket. Yeah. Yeah. So this is obviously in the first one, and this we're going to push this in second. So we're going to say this is the actual list of information. Here is 0. So looking here, cart items. This is the 0th item, and then the number 1 item in this kind of subarray. It's going to be whatever we've wrote. It's going to equal whatever this is. So we're going to say cart items dot length, because we want to just grab the last thing we've done, -1, because obviously if there's two things in the array, it'll say 2 is the length, but when we grab, we got to count 0, so 0, 1. Then we want to say here is document dot get element by ID. The ID is going to be input plus the num dot value, which is obviously whatever's in that box. Right. So let's give this a wee test. Rerun this. Refresh. Just do this. Refresh. Hard refresh. I'm going to close it. Say run. Run. Right. Console. Okay, so we're going to say here, 2 of this one, add. 1 of this one, add. We're going to say 4 of this one, add. Cart items. So all 3 there. Let's have a look down to there. So it's grabbed this here, but they're grabbing them as string, which is super annoying. So we need to set the data type to number for this to stop that. I think that is to number though. Type number. Yeah. Right, so what we need to do then is just use the number function. So the number function is number. There. Everything in there gets converted to a number. So if we refresh this now, say 2 of this one, add. Right, let's go to the console. Cart items. There it is. It's a number. Great. Right. Every time we've run this, I want to then basically update my cart. Right, so we want to get the cart going. So in order to do that, we will, what are we doing? We need to say update cart as a function, and then the function update cart, well, then we can get that to feed into this number, and that's what we will do next.